Good evening everyone, how are we? Welcome back to the fourth and final lesson in the Pip Camp saga. Again, as usual, we'll give it a minute for everyone to join, and then we'll get started in today's lesson. How are you all doing anyway? Let me just check if everyone can hear me. Yep, should be able to hear me. So today's lesson, nice and chilled, nice and laid back. Gonna have plenty of time to ask questions, so I'll give it a few minutes and we'll get going, guys. So how's everybody finding the little system that I gave you in episode 2? Has everybody been putting it to use? There's been some really nice trades. Anybody that follows me on Instagram, you'd have seen some trades I've made today. So some really nice profits to be made from that system. I haven't really traded a great deal today. Managed to take 8.23 or 53% from one trade today, which was really nice. I'll give it another minute, let everyone that wants to join, and then we get cracking. How are we all? Anybody that's joined late, how are we? I can't believe it's going to be the final time of playing this intro. I'm very well, thank you. Okay, right, let's get straight into things then. Again, I still can't believe that is the that's going to be the final time you're going to get to see this wonderful intro. Of course, the whole event is going to be up on YouTube. I'm going to leave it up there till the end of the month. So if you want to go back and watch things over once again, then you can do so. Again, for anyone who wasn't able to tune in live, welcome. Again, I hope you enjoy the recording of this. But without further ado, let's get straight into it. So, Pip Camp episode 4, the final episode. Again, kind of sad that this is coming to an end, but we'll have to do another one soon. But in today's lesson, we're going to have a look at what it really takes to win in the financial markets. Before we get started, just a friendly reminder, of course, at the end of yesterday's session, I obviously gave you the opportunity to join Forex Kickstarter. So full step-by-step training, weekly live coaching calls, on-hand mentorship, access to the winning community, and access to our exclusive live events for a lifetime. You're going to have until 26th of April at midnight to get yourself enrolled before the price goes from $997 to $1997 as just the first part of our price increase. That will be going up further after that as well. So then, in today's lesson, we're looking at what it really takes to win in the financial market. So again, like I touched on just a second ago, this is going to be a much more laid back session. Again, guys, just flow with the questions, ask me questions as and when you need to. So you know the systems and strategies needed to actually consistently profit from the markets. Okay, so everything that you've learned already or that you're going to learn, this is going to be the first stage. Okay, so the information gathering stage. Second to that is the execution stage. This is where you're going to be using new information that you've actually gathered, okay, everything that you've learned, to the systems and strategies, and you'll be actually putting it to work. Okay, you'll be on the markets actually looking for trades, making money. Okay, so it's very important to different things that are going to be required from you. Okay, so again, the goal of this session is to really help you push yourself towards peak performance so that you can begin to work and perform like the top 1%. So first and foremost, of course, there's going to be a ton of new information here that you're going to be needing to learn. So the obvious place to start is how to learn better. Okay, if you're not learning effectively, then you're not going to make as much progress as you're expecting. Okay, so if we can put some things or some thoughts or some processes into your head now so that you're ready, that learning process is going to be much quicker and it's going to be much more effective. So how do we learn better? So to become proficient and effective at anything, it takes practice. Okay, during this practice, what we're doing is we're forming new neural pathways in our brain. Okay, and then over time, we're strengthening those neural pathways. Now, as we go through this process of learning new things, we go through what is called a 3-stage skill acquisition model. Okay, so when we learn new things, what's actually happening when we're learning these things is we're creating new neural pathways in our brain. Okay, so we're essentially creating new connections within our brain that allow us to learn these new skills. Okay, and when we do learn these new things, we go through something called a 3-stage skill acquisition model. So this is essentially what it looks like, 3 stages. So stage 1 is the cognitive stage. Now this is where you're just learning about the skill and you're creating those neural pathways in your brain. Okay, so again, if you're completely new to something and your brain has never had to think about it before, you essentially have to create a new area within your brain to learn those things. Okay, so the first stage is we go through the cognitive stage. The second stage is where we go through something called the associative stage. Now this is where you become aware of what and why you're doing certain things. Okay, you're able to pick out the mistakes and make changes to actually build on those neural pathways. Okay, so you become slightly more conscious of what you're doing. It's not just information in and that's it. You're not just necessarily learning. You're actually able to understand perhaps why you're doing these things and what mistakes you're making and how you can perhaps overcome those things, because you've been through the process of learning these different things, and where the neural pathways are now beginning to connect up, you're able to connect those things together and see how they work together. Again, these stages sort of take longer amounts of time. So the cognitive stage is one that's, well, depending on what you're learning, it's one that's usually somewhat shorter. It's fairly easy to build that sort of... Oh, are we back? Are we back? Someone please confirm, are we back? I'm not sure what happened there. Somebody give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. I think we went offline for a second then. Perfect. Okay, so we then go through the autonomous stage. Okay, this is where you're able to subconsciously perform the task at a high level. Okay, at this stage, you've essentially mastered that craft. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to be thinking about what you're doing. Okay, it becomes an autonomous process. So we can see here again, just in a slightly different format, that 3-stage skill acquisition model. Now, as we can see here, the more time spent performing the task you're trying to learn, the more experience you get. And the more experience you get, the lower the cognitive load. Okay, because you've built up those neural pathways. So you can see here, the cognitive stage, you've obviously not spent as much time doing it, so it's slightly harder on the brain, requires a much higher cognitive load. Okay, you can see it's pretty standard stuff that. So to help you learn more effectively and ultimately get you to earning money quicker, in this video we're going to be looking at the 3 powerful techniques that you need to help you learn better. So the first one that we're going to look at is the advanced information processing. Now, advanced information processing was a phenomenon that was brought to life by somebody called Jim Quick. Now, Jim Quick is the founder of something called Quick. Now, the key to memorizing what you read and learn is to ask more questions. Okay, so for example, if you've ever read a book, for example, and you've got to the end and you just remember, and you haven't remembered a thing. Again, this is why I don't read, because this is how I read. I just go through the book and then I'm at the end of the book and I'm like, none of that made any sense to me. I can't remember a single thing that I've just read. Okay, because I passively read. So I like to do things like listening to podcasts or audio books. I feel like for me that just goes in much better. But again, you go through this process, and the reason you don't remember things is because you're passively reading. You're not actively reading. Okay, you haven't been asking questions. Okay, so the information hasn't actually actively been processed by your brain. Yes, you've been reading through it, but all you've been doing is speaking the words out loud. You haven't actually thought about what you're reading. Okay, so one key thing to do when you're learning and when you're studying, don't just take notes, actually ask questions as well. Again, you may be asking, what questions should I be asking? So number 1, how can I use this? Okay, this forces you to link the information to the bigger picture, connecting the information to things that you already know. Okay, strengthening that neural network. Okay, so when the thing that you have learned has been connected to things that are perhaps already in that autonomous stage of your brain, it's much easier for you to begin to remember them. Okay, because as soon as you think, oh, this is the new thing I've learned, it relates to this in my life, it's much easier to bring back to the forefront of your mind and actually remember what and why you were learning that. Also ask, when will I use this? Okay, so this creates urgency. The urgency in turn forces you to become more engaged, which allows you to process and memorize the information much better. Okay, so for example, in trading, you're going through the process of entering a trade and you're going through the process of working out your lot size. Okay, if you then link that back to the fact that, okay, I'm working out my lot size here so I don't lose more money than I want to, so that I can consistently grow my account on a consistent basis and I can become successful. Okay, you're not just thinking of the action and just going through the actions, you're linking and you're asking asking yourself that question, when will I use this? Okay, this also links to the next question, why must I use this? Okay, the reason that I'm managing my risk is because I don't want to lose too much money. Okay, I will be using this process every time I enter a trade because I don't want to lose too much money. Okay, and if you don't know why you need to be doing something, there's nothing compelling you to do it, meaning you won't be engaged in actively processing that information. Okay, so for example, you have to learn a strategy in trading so that you can consistently find trades time and time again. Okay, you would wake up in the morning because that's when the most volume is in the markets and it's easiest to make money. So the second thing, something called spaced repetition. Like, this is something that was huge for me when I was learning. So again, like the name may give you clues. But spaced repetition, although as simple as it may seem, this was a phenomenon discovered by a guy called Hermann Ebbinghaus. He's a German psychologist and pioneer of quantitative memory research. Now, spaced repetition is essentially where we learn a piece of information and then we revisit that information a period of time later. Okay, and it was discovered that we are better able to recall the information and the concepts if we learn them in multiple spread out sessions. Okay, so it's all well and good learning something and going through something once, but it's only on the second, third, maybe fourth time that that information is actually going to be processed into your neural network and you're actually going to memorize what you need to be doing. Okay, I see students coming to me time and time again and they say, I've been through the course, I don't remember what I need to be doing. Why am I doing this? I'm not getting it. And it's like, well, okay, well, you're never going to understand why you're doing it because you've only been through this stuff once. Okay, you have to build that neural network in your brain so it becomes second nature to you. Okay, and it's only by repeating that process that you're ever going to get anywhere. So one thing I always say to a lot of people is focus on the process and not the profits, because the profits are a byproduct of the process. Okay, so if you go through that process of learning and learning and learning and learning, the only natural byproduct of that process is for you to make money. So this is Ebbinghaus's forgetting curve. Okay, and as we can see here, after learning something, we typically forget, what's this, about upwards of 50% within the first sort of 20 minutes. Okay, by 60 minutes, we only remember 40% of what we learn, and within over 31 days, over a month's time, we only memorize 20% of what we actually learn. Okay, so pretty useless information. But if we implement spaced repetition into the process, we can see how that curve drastically gets shallower. So again, we can see that the bottom curve there, the memorization, how over 60 days we only memorize about 5%, maybe less than that. Okay, but if we go through one or a second session of that same process, okay, so we just repeat it one more time, we almost double how much we remember. Okay, so where over 60 days we only memorized about 5% of what we did, just by repeating it once, we then go from remembering 5% to 50%. Okay, if we repeat it a third time, okay, so the second reminder, we increase what we've memorized from 50% to 80%. Okay, and then by the fourth and the fifth reminder, by the fourth and the fifth time that we've gone over things, we almost memorize the entire thing. Okay, and we forget very little. Okay, so we only really have to be trying to remember very small amounts of what we've learned. Okay, the majority of those neural pathways have been built, and we've put that piece of knowledge that we've learned into our autonomous cognitive stage. Okay, this was huge to me. This is insanely powerful. And you see this happen time and time again in just sort of the general time frame of how people learn things when they come through the program. You sort of get them, they go through that first stage, they learn everything, they put everything into practice, and you can see their results. They're not quite there. They're lacking, and you can see the mistakes that they're making. You then give them another week or so, couple of weeks, and you can see how they've improved. They've gone through the program again, they've gone through the lessons again, the ones that we've told them to go through and given them the little pointers that they need to be learning. And you can see how they've gone from doing very little of what they should be doing to now doing slightly more. And then you give them another couple of weeks. They come and they show up to the weekly webinars, they ask questions, they go back through the course, and you can see how people get almost exponentially better the more time they put into trading. The third one, very, very powerful. This is something that I've only really just started to implement into my life over the last maybe couple of years, and it's external input starvation. Now, the effectiveness of your study time is only as good as your ability to focus and concentrate. The main problem people will face in this day and age is the external input from their phone, laptop, iPad, etc. Okay, studies have shown that simultaneous use of electronic devices has a significant effect on learning. Okay, and in order for us to have an optimal learning environment, we want to starve this external distraction. Okay, so things like an iPad, PS5, phones. When you're studying, you want to starve any of these temptations, okay, and limit any distractions simply by clearing your work environment. Okay, removing your phone from your environment. So whether you're in your office or wherever you're learning from, remove your phone, remove your iPad, get away from your PlayStation. So it's literally just you and your computer or iPad or whatever you're using to learn. Just keep it at a bare minimum. Okay, if you're on your computer, close any tabs, close down your messages, keep your dashboard nice and clear, clean and simple. This will create an environment that is conducive to focus, concentration, so you'll be able to actively engage in what you're learning and you'll be able to process the information that's in front of you. And have a work reward system, okay? So to commit to working without distractions for a defined period of time. Okay, so don't just sit there for hours on end trying of the course, for example. Okay, and I'm going to be working in increments of 60 minutes. So I'm going to do 60 minutes of learning, and then I'm going to have a 10-15 minute break, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to implement that into the charts. Okay, and work in cycles. Okay, the worst thing you can do is just to continually work, because like I said, you're going to go from actively learning to passively end up wasting so much time, it's ridiculous. Okay, so understand the difference between good distractions and bad distractions. Okay, because you need to re-energize and reboot after focus work. Okay. So again, there's a few key points there, a few things that, again, if you thought about things, you would think of these things anyway. Okay, but when you're told, these things typically settle better. And if you implement these things, then ultimately you're going to learn much quicker, much more effectively, and ultimately you're going to see results much, much quicker. So, we've had a look at how you can learn better. Moving on to stage 2 then, is the execution stage. Okay, so this is where you're going to be using the new information that you've gathered, you'll be putting in the work, you'll be taking action, and you'll be actually actively looking at the markets, looking for trades to make money. So what can you put in place to perform like the top 1%? Okay, and as traders, it's not exactly like we're sitting here for hours on end just trading. Okay, as a trader, it's about keeping optimal performance during those 1, 2, maybe 3 hours, so we can get into the markets, we can make our money, and then we can spend the rest of our time doing the things that we love. Okay, so in this section, we're going to go over some of my top hacks that were pivotal to my success as a trader. Okay, the things that I implement on a day-to-day basis in a lot of cases that help me continually perform day in, day out at a very, very high level, okay, reaching my peak performance. So number 1, again, we've previously touched on this just a little bit, but it's imperative that you organize your battleship. Okay, we had a lesson on assembling your battleship. We want to keep that battleship organized. So the first thing, very, very important, is to clear your setup. Okay, well, why? Well, anything that can take your attention away from the task in hand, whether that be letters, toys, notepads, whatever, phones, could potentially cost you thousands of pounds. Okay, so let's limit those external distractions so you can maximize the potential focus and output of what matters the most, which is ultimately trading. Okay, so at the moment, again, I'm looking at this picture now, and then I'm looking down at my desk, and I'm thinking, I am the biggest hypocrite you'll ever meet, because I've got letters, I've got a watch, I've got a camera, I've got another camera, I've got a phone, I've got a notepad, I've got bottles, I've got a cup of coffee. So I'm a bit of a hypocrite here. But the easiest way, the simplest way that you can push yourself to performing and staying focused at the task in hand is to have a completely clear setup. Okay, so just have your screen, have your computer, have your mouse, your keyboard, and that's it. Okay, so even for my trading sessions in the morning, I'm at the point now where I'm pretty good at staying focused. Okay, I know exactly what I'm doing. Again, I'm at that autonomous stage, so it's second nature to me being able to jump on and trade. So I have a little bit more leniency now with my life. Okay, but even now, I will wake up in the morning and I won't use my phone until I've done with my trading for the most part. Okay, till I'm in my positions and I've made my money. That's when I'll, for example, go get my phone. Okay, so again, if you do one thing, clear your setup, have a nice working environment, it'll make things a lot easier. Secondly then, going into your computer, simplify your desktop. Okay, so this is one thing that I can actually vouch for here, and I can say, okay, well, if I was to close all my tabs now, my screen would literally look identical to this. Okay, so if you have old tabs open, tons of files, things scattered here, there, and everywhere, it's only going to distract you. Okay, clutter is one of the biggest enemies if you want to focus. Again, this doesn't just go for your physical desk, but your desktop as well. Okay, something so trivial like removing apps. Okay, it's going to allow you to get into that flow state much easier. Okay, so if you've got Spotify coming up, or you've got your emails popping up, you've got Slack, or you've got, I don't know, anything on your computer that's going to distract you from focusing on the markets, that could be the difference between you being in and out of flow state. Okay, so flow state is where you're just laser focused and you're just going through the processes. Okay. And any distraction outside of what you're focusing on could be the difference of taking you in and out of that flow state. And then once you're out of flow state, it's much more difficult to get back into it. Okay, and it's in flow state that we perform at our highest. Okay, and if you need a little bit more of a lock and key type of thing, if you're not as disciplined, because I wasn't disciplined when I started, but if you struggle staying disciplined, then you need to put a system in place to ensure that you get shit done. Okay, and this is where this plugin, this website, this app would come in play. Okay, so this is a website, essentially a little plugin for Mac users, and it's called Focus for Mac. Now, Focus for Mac will restrict you from using the most distracting websites and apps. Okay, so you select the website you want to block and how long for, and you press done, and it will not allow you to access that website. Okay, so if you're on your computer and you go on YouTube and Facebook or whatever, you can download this and you can say, okay, you need to lock me out of Facebook between 7 in the morning and 11 in the morning. Okay, and then after that you can let me in. Okay, so if you need somebody there to actually enforce it, or you need something there to actually enforce this to help you stay disciplined, then this is the perfect thing for you. Okay, I'm pretty sure it's free to use. I downloaded it ages ago. I can't actually remember if it is free, but it should be free to use. Download it. You can stick whatever websites are distracting you, and then it will not physically let you access it. Okay, so again, limiting the amount of things that can distract you. Okay, limiting the amount of things that are on your desk that can distract you. Limiting the amount of things that are on your computer that can distract you. Tabs open, apps open. Okay, and if you can't stay disciplined with it, then put a process in place that's going to stop you from going on these websites. Okay, for example. Okay, just like I got insanely distracted by my phone in the mornings, I would go through weeks of trading sometimes, and I would just make no trades because I was distracted by my phone in the morning. So I put a process in place that I would not touch my phone. I'd wake up, my phone would still be left in another room, and then once my trading is done, I'd pick up my phone again. Okay, because I identified that I couldn't stay disciplined in a certain aspect of my life, so I put a process in there to ensure that I got shit done. It's in place that allows you to find and execute trades. Then you're going to be far more successful than somebody that just jumps on and does nothing and just tries to just to wing it. So the next thing, third thing, get good fucking sleep. Okay, this has been insanely pivotal to my success. Probably the single most pivotal thing to my success is focusing on my sleep. Okay, because a good day starts the night before. Okay, I used to stay up late, 2, 3 in the morning and then try and wake up and trade London session, and I probably wondered why I lost loads of money. As soon as I started to focus on my sleep, everything changed. And I can't stress that enough. So here are my top 5 sleep hacks. Okay, first and probably the most important, leave your phone outside of your room. This is by far the most pivotal change I've made in my life. Ridding yourself of that distraction that will keep you up to 2 a.m. scrolling through social media will change your life. Okay, and you can hold me to that. If you go a week whilst leaving your phone in another room whilst you sleep, I can assure you now you'll get the best sleep of your life and your life will change. 100, again, if we could put a bet on here, then I would. I'd put money on it. Okay, I'd put money on it. Again, guys, just a quick vote. Who here has their phone in their bedroom whilst they sleep? Who has their phone whilst they're in their bedroom? Or who leaves their phone outside of their bedroom? It was a very, very difficult habit for me to actually build. But once I built it, honestly, it was crazy. It was crazy. There's a bit of a delay in the chat, but guys, let me know. Do you have your phone in your room? For an alarm, yes. I do this, right? So buy an alarm, a standard analog clock, buy an alarm, leave your phone in another room, and tell me now that you do not have better sleep. Okay? Tell me you don't have better sleep. Okay? And honestly, this time next week, I want you all to come to me and do it. And I promise you it will change your life. It sounds so trivial. Okay? But if you do it, I can assure you now, you'll be a completely new person. Okay, second hack, build a routine. So your sleep schedule is regulated by your natural melatonin cycle. Okay, sticking to a set bedtime and a wake up time will result in much better, more consistent sleep, eventually reaching the point where you won't need an alarm clock. Okay, so I've not used an alarm clock for, I don't know, maybe 2 years, probably even longer than that, to be honest. But now I'll go to sleep at 10 o'clock, 10:30, and I will be up between 5:30 and 6 every single morning with no alarm. My body just wakes up, I'm wide awake. As soon as I wake up, I'm up. Number 3, again, this was something that I've only been really recently been sort of really focusing on over the last maybe 8 months or so, and it's to do some form of exercise every day. Okay, if your activity levels are low, then you want to ensure that you're doing some form of exercise to wear yourself out. Okay, make sure you're hitting 6,000 to 10,000 steps per day and getting in at least 30 minutes of exercise. Okay, again, this is not just to get yourself active, but also to ensure that you can prepare yourself for a good night's sleep, to get good rest, to be ready for that trading session in the morning. Okay, what you do in the day is ultimately preparing you for the next day. Okay, and that's what a lot of people don't realize. They think it's a new day and your day starts there, but your day starts the night before. Okay, and if you can focus on getting good quality sleep and doing whatever you can to get that good quality sleep, the following day, that following morning trading session, your cognitive function is going to be far better and you'll be able to perform at a much higher level, which is ultimately going to result in you making more money. Okay, remember, I'm not just doing these things to be preachy. These things I do at least 2 hours before bed. Okay, giving your last meal some time to digest and move into the small intestines will dramatically improve the quality and the ability for you to actually get to sleep. Okay, after running webinars and getting out late, I haven't really stuck to this one. Luckily, I'm at a point now where these small differences in the routine that I follow, they don't tend to have too much of an effect, because For example, if we're looking at 1 to 5 here, I'm doing 4 of them pretty much every day. And if you miss one, then you're all right. Okay, so as long as you're implementing the majority of these things, okay, again, some of these might not work around your current life, but if you're implementing the majority of them, you're going to increase that quality of your sleep, thus allowing you to perform better in the morning. Okay, so it's about putting these things in place as and when you can. And then finally, a huge one, don't drink alcohol. Okay, drinking alcohol and getting good sleep will never happen. Okay, alcohol is one of the hardest substances for your body to break down. This results in your body working overtime to try and process the alcohol through your body. This results in a huge effect on the quality of your sleep. Okay, so we're coming to the summer. Obviously, it's much more difficult to perhaps avoid alcohol, but this is one that you need to perhaps be more aware of as opposed to trying to limit. Okay, of course, you want to limit your alcohol consumption as much as you can, especially when you're trying to perform early in the morning. Okay, but being aware that, okay, if I drink, then I'm going to have a bad quality of sleep, which is going to result in me waking up in the morning, perhaps more tired, cognitive function is going to be down, going to be more groggy, my head's not going to be in it. So now I'm at the point now, if I'm trading in the morning, or if I'm supposed to be trading in the morning and I drink the night before, obviously in excess, I mean a couple of beers or a glass of wine or whatever is not going to affect you too much. But I'm at the point now where if I do drink the night before, then I just won't trade that morning session, because I know that it's going to have a negative effect on my trading. And when you're trading at the level that I'm trading at the moment, a negative effect is thousands of pounds in losses. Okay, so if it does affect me in a negative way, which it has a high chance that it's going to happen, it's going to cost me a lot of money. Okay, so again, building processes and just being aware of how things affect your body so that you can make decisions and build processes around how you're going to be performing in the morning. Okay, ultimately that's how everything should be built, okay, as a trader. And one thing you can do, I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but there's something called an Oura ring. And this essentially is a ring that, again, you can wear it all the time, but the main reason that I will use it is to track my sleep. This will track your heart rate and a ton of other things, and it will give you essentially a readiness score. It will track how much REM sleep you've got, how much deep sleep you've had, and it will give you a readiness score. Okay, so you're going to get metrics every morning as to the quality of your sleep. Now, what you'll then be able to do is you'll be able to understand which of these things here actually have an effect on the quality of your sleep, because you're actually going to be getting metrics of it. Okay, so you're going to be able to see, okay, if I drink the night before, you're going to be able to see, okay, well, my score in the morning, my sleep quality is much lower than what it usually is. Okay, so I've now actually physically seen that, okay, alcohol does have an impact on the quality of my sleep, meaning I'm waking up and I'm much less refreshed. Okay, this is a massive thing. A lot of sort of health coaches that I've worked with have recommended this. So again, if you want to be conscious of these things, then getting an Oura ring is going to help you do that. So then, another thing, detaching from your phone. Okay, very, very hard in today's society, your screen time. So this is my screen here, or it was my screen, and you can see there I've put my screen time on my home screen. Okay, so every single day I can see exactly how much screen time I've had. Okay, typically the more screen time, the less productive you've been, the less you've got done. Okay, so have a bit of a competition and see how low you can get that screen time. Okay, number 2, delete any unnecessary apps. Okay, delete any unnecessary apps. So I've stripped mine to the bare minimum. Actually, since screenshotting this, I've actually changed it. I've got rid of even more. So again, all I really have at the moment is my trading apps. Okay, so just keep things to a minimum. Okay, either delete them or remove them from your home screen. So any social media that you don't need, get them off. Okay, because they're going to help you focus. Okay, organize your home screen as well. Keep it nice, neat and tidy. Again, the same as we'd organize our desktop and our office. Keep your home screen nice and organized. Okay, turn off notifications as well, because then you're not getting pinged from every single app, left, right and center. The notifications are there to distract you. Okay, so turn off your notifications. Okay, and again, when you're trading, leave your phone out of your room. Okay, when you're trying to be productive, leave your phone out of your room. Okay, these things sound very, very trivial. Okay, they sound very, very trivial, but believe me, if you put them into practice, you will see differences in the way that you can focus and the results that you're going to be achieving. Okay, these are things that I've actively put into my life that have actively benefited and actively made me money. And success is the result of eliminating distractions and aligning your values with your goals. And if you can eliminate those distractions, the path to success will ultimately open up. Okay, and this is now you. It looks like we cut out there again, which is rather annoying. But everyone can hear me again. I assume you can. So, where were we? So you now know the cheat code to scale into 10K per month quickly and easily without the stresses of investing your own money. Finally, how to win in the financial markets long term and perform like the top 1%. So guys, if you'd like my team's personal help to start and scale your trading career to 10K per month, you've got until the 26th of April to join Forex Kickstarter. So guys, again, this is it. This is the end of the final episode of Forex Kickstarter, of Pip Camp. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a very, very fun event. You've now got until the 26th of April to put things in practice, to figure out if trading is something that you want to be doing long term. And then if you wish to join the program, you have until the 26th of April to join before we put the price up. So again, guys, I would just like to thank you for, number one, attending with me this evening and throughout the event, and coming along to celebrate the launch of the new company WeTrade. If you have any questions, of course, you can reach out to me via Instagram, via Telegram. But that is it from me this evening, guys. All of the lessons will be uploaded and available for you to watch until the end of the month, and then they'll be taken down. Okay. So that has been it from the 4 lessons. I hope you've learned a lot. Again, any questions, do let me know, but we will be coming back for the final bonus episode on Thursday, same time where we're doing the Q&A session. Okay, so I'll speak to you all very, very soon. But that is it from me this evening, and I'll speak to you all very, very soon.